Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever, where today we're going to be taking a look at a 4v4 played on Wonder. Before we get into introducing our players, I'd like to remind you that liking, subscribing, and possibly checking out my Patreon or joining the Discord to give me more replay IDs is always recommended, and I'm enthusiastic about meeting each and every one of you. And other than that, you are beautiful, and let's get into introducing our players. In the last cast, I know I forgot to say thank you to my patrons, so I'll say it twice this cast. Thank you to my patrons, Timothy Calvert, Sword and Syphilis, ISC Nightmare, Mike Mark 1045, Mutant Gene Pool, Idle Betazoid. Y'all are beautiful. Sorry for doing that for whatever. Let's go ahead and get into introducing our players, starting with team 1 in the top right and team 2 in the bottom or top left, bottom right. I can't speak, so this cast is off to a great fucking start. Okay, here we go with the green Aeon playing the rear guard air position for team 1. His name is Veritas. Moving on to the furthest south player for team 1, we have ourselves a Cyan Cybran. He is a long-time supporter of the channel now. He's been around for a few months, and his name is, of course, Thurnis Haley, who's gone first land. Then we have ourselves a blue UEF, best faction, pumping out those industrial-looking units and buildings. His name is the Little Guy, and he's gone first land. Then, last but not least, for Team 1, we have another UEF, and it's piloted by another channel supporter. His name is Lieutenant General Fluffy, and he is, of course, walking forward with that great calm, just look at it move forward with the UEF symbol, and, of course, the wolf on the back that you all probably can't see because YouTube's compression algorithm. Either way, let's go ahead and introduce Team 2, starting with the Gray Cybran going first land by the name of Saurian AI, building his second land factory right now. Moving down to the far south for the air position, we have another Cybran, this one orange, by the name of Fool, but spelled with a 1 because he's trying to be edgy. Then we have ourselves a pink Seraphim going first land by the name of Mythologist, who is currently, of course, working with his engineers to build more power. You need more power to build things. And last but not least, for the entire game, we have a pink Seraphim going first land by the name of Banana Smoothie as he walks forward with that disgustingly bad Seraphim commander. With that all out of the way, we have some early harass coming out from Mythologist, gonna be doing his thing with these labs. The Selin, always super annoying. He has a few over here trying to harass Thurnis Haley. We have Lieutenant General Fluffy pushing forward, being very aggressive with the comm. Gonna have to see if that pays off or if he overextends. Those are the two options. You overextend or you fail, or you win or you overextend. You know what? Words are hard. We're on the map Wonder. There's a fuck ton of reclaim, mostly here in the middle, but also kind of everywhere fucking else. And over here we have an engineer dying to a hunter out from Thurnis Haley. He's going to try and do some fancy feat, almost like Fancy Feast, but for labs, and get away without dying. He is going to continue to run away, but there are Thoms in pursuit in his life. Expectancy is dropping by the second. Over here, Little Guy and Banana Smoothie meet in the middle and start trading shots at each other. Little Guy probably needs to start working on some more reclaim, or needs to get his own units out here, or just do something. They're just going to continue to trade shots. Banana Smoothie going to go ahead and manually reclaim a few more rocks, and looks like he's going to fall back as more units show up. Over on the eastern side, we have a bunch of Mantis now out, trying to cause issues to Lieutenant General Fluffy, who's trying to expand and get himself another factory set up, which is just finished over here. He has a radar queued up with an engineer coming up, trying to get that all-important intel on his opponent. And Lieutenant General Fluffy is like, this is my territory and I will defend it. As he moves forward with his UEF commander, kills off a Mantis, the inferior T1 tank. And over here, Saurian AI now pushing forward towards Lieutenant General Fluffy with his own comm. Saurian AI does not really have much land support, and there's more and more units now showing up for Lieutenant General Fluffy, which is going to be important very soon. Thurnis Haley moved forward, tried to do the same thing that Lieutenant General Fluffy is doing, tried to be this aggressive player, taking the 4 expansion mexes in between the 2 players on each flank. and it does seem as though he's going to be able to hold on to it for now. Team 2 needs to kind of get a handle on things and kind of force back these players. Can't just be giving up all of the map control to your opponent. The little guy even coming out ahead. He's making big plays as he takes himself the middle 2 mexes. Don't mind that he forgot all of the expansion mexes directly around his base. He's taking these 2 in the front. Over here, Lieutenant General Fluffy and Saurian AI still throwing shots at each other as we have T1 bombers coming out from Banana Smoothie to put some harassment down on Thurnus Haley. Saurian AI falling down to around 7,000 HP and falling down to 6,500. Needs to be wary of his comm's health. He does not have as many units and his comm is on lower health. Kind of a rough position, but he needs to start pulling himself out of it. He needs to get more factories up, more production, and keep that comm safe. Meanwhile, on the western side, we have ourselves Mythologist and Thurnus Haley trading blows. Seems that Thurnus Haley has more units in the area. Mythologist trying to abuse Zooey's. Banana Smoothie coming in from the eastern side to try and help out his western flank ally. And Thurnus Haley is going to be falling back with his comm, as is Mythologist, as they don't think, neither of them think they have the power to deal with their opponents. And over here, Saurian AI might get caught out as there's a bunch of T1 units now converging on his position along with the comm of Lieutenant General Fluffy. Even if it was just between the comms, Lieutenant General Fluffy wins this. Saurian needs some support. He needs some units to get to the front to protect him from the comm and the units of Lieutenant General Fluffy. A Shift G command used to stop the Cybern comm from running away effectively. And now the Saurian AI is going to go down with our first ejection here at the 5-minute and 40-second mark. We're going to be seeing ourselves a player die, and that's going to be Saurian AI. Team 2 off to a horrible disadvantage in this game as Team 1 takes the initiative and takes first blood in this game. Banana Smoothie in the middle trying to deal with the little guy, but the little guy has built a T1 PD, and a T1 PD is to be feared. At the 6-minute mark, as we watch these players continue to duke it out here, we have some Zooeys showing up, going to be trying to get rid of that T1 PD. The little guy doesn't have that much land spam, but what he doesn't have in units, he has in heart and spirit and all of those good things that you need to win games without actually winning games. He's got a fighter's heart. He's got the eye of the tiger. He's got everything going for him. Don't worry about the fact that all of his units are dying. Jester's now out for our friend Fool. Going to be trying to get a kill onto Lieutenant General Fluffy, but really just not going to work as interceptors come out from a myriad of players on Team 1 to deal with that. Thurnus Haley, on the other hand, is having a bit of a struggle over on this western side. Mythologist gaining real ground and doing a lot of damage onto the comm of Thurnus Haley. He's taken a decent amount himself. They're pretty much even. Around 1,000 health separates them. So if either one were to die right now, they'd both die. And it does seem that the Mythologist is kind of running out of steam. His unit spam has kind of just failed him as of the moment. So I don't think he's going to be able to get very much more done on this flank. He's going to have to fall back. He does have units to protect him, and he has some support out from Banana Smoothie to help him out. But not Thurnus Haley, Lieutenant General Fluffy can't remember which of my supporters is on which side. Over here with a band of T1 units, looks like it's going to be able to get into the base of Banana Smoothie. And that's going to really hurt. Banana Smoothie finishing up some T2 mexes. If he loses these, it's going to be a real painful situation economically. He's just going to be behind. But then again, the little guy doesn't have a T2 mex yet, so little guy might not be able to really pose a threat. But Banana Smoothie was one of the stronger players for Team 2 as of the moment, and it looks like he's starting to falter a little bit as he's going to be losing T2 mexes to a bunch of T1 strikers. The superior T1 tank just rolling in and killing off everything for Team 2. UEF power showing its supremacy over the battlefield today as Lieutenant General Fluffy pilots these units to perfection against his opponents, continuing to get more units running by. Banana Smoothie was committing a lot over here towards Thurnus Haley. Thurnus Haley now down to about 4,500 health. He hasn't really lost or gained very much health since the last time we looked over here. We have some T2 air shenanigans starting to accrue over here. We have a T2 gunship now out from Mythologist. Do we have any other kind of shenanigans or mishaps going on? Not really. We have a lot of units out now from Lieutenant General Fluffy in the backline threatening the air player Fool, who still isn't T2 air, his ally getting T2 air before him. Banana Smoothie being a defeationist over on Team 2. not really believing it's worth continuing to play. He's asking if he can leave right now. Well, unfortunately, that is an answer only you can question. Only you can control K. Control K now if you play Seraphim. Worst faction, everybody. Yep, it's always the Seraphims. They always give up. They're always the whiners. As Thurnis Haley pushes forward, his comm is on lower health than his opponent. This could be a little bit dicey for him, but he does have a decent number of units as gunships show up. 2 Volthus out from Mythologist, putting up a valiant effort despite their inferior status as a Seraphim unit. Still does damage, just not as cool or as nice as the other factions, as 2,800 and continues to fall in health. 1,000 health, 900, 800, 600, and we're gonna have a second ejection here at the 9-minute and 20-second mark. We see ourselves Thurnis Haley take an early leave, an early exit to this game. A transport transports the comm of Veritas to the middle. That's a ballsy play out from the green Aeon playing in the air position. We all have to give a little bit of respect to the Aeon. Of course, they are my now second favorite faction, as the UEF has supplanted them. They have abdicated the throne, at least temporarily. But the Aeon comm is going to be getting up here to the front. It is a bit risky. You are your team's air presence, so if you die, you are giving your team a huge disadvantage. All of this time in the backline, Lieutenant General Fluffy still showing why UEF is the best faction and should be the only faction real players play, as he's just destroying everybody with only T1 tech. He hasn't even gotten to T2 yet. Actually, he literally hasn't gotten to T2, has he? He hasn't even gotten to T2 yet, and he has opponents with T2, but it doesn't matter. He's still in the backline. He's still over here just causing massive economic damage to Banana Smoothie and Fool, who just cannot withstand the power of the UEF today. And it's going to be a very, very spicy day as Fool continues to get himself shot at. A T2 mech's going to go down for Fool. He's in a rough position. Another one possibly going to go down. This comm is going to kill off all these strikers before they DPS down another T2 mechs. Fool losing all of his economy except for one T2 mechs. Or two T2 mechs. He's going to be in a rough spot. He's not going to be able to catch up to Veritas. Veritas right now doing quite well for himself. He's lost a lot of health since he's come to the front lines. I'm wondering what all that is from. Was there any kind of crazy snipes going on? But we do have a T2 gunship snipe coming out from Mythologist, who's kind of just putting the team on his back right now. He's working with the disadvantage of being a Seraphim, so he's just in all regards an amazing player, able to do so much with such a shit faction. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm shitting on the Seraphim so much, my Discord has been invaded by, oh, that's a dead Aeon. Well, you know, religious cultists and all, they're all about this martyrdom shit, and it really messes everything up. The base of the little guy has been gifted over to Lieutenant General Fluffy. I guess the little guy had to go AFK, and he's going to give his base over to Lieutenant General Fluffy. So now it's effectively a 1v3 on the map, as the UEF players are kind of their backs up against the wall against this Seraphim Cybern combo. But don't worry, because the Seraphim, I'm sure, will show us their true intentions of just losing so hard. But if you were wondering why I'm hating on the Seraphim so much, my Discord has been invaded by a bunch of these Seraphim simps telling me Seraphim is the best faction. Well, I think this is evidence. This is proof positive evidence. Don't look at the ratings. Don't worry about the scoreboard. It may only be an 83% balanced game. This is proof. UEF just superior. Look, still using T1 tanks to deal with these puny Ilshivas. Actually, this is not necessarily going too good for the strikers. But the strikers are going to continue to find holes in their opposition's defenses, find chinks in the armor, as it may be called. I'm going to continue to run by and kill off mass extractors and do damage to the economy. We do have to admit that a lot of reclaim is being left on the field, but as far as reclaim goes, in general, only Banana Smoothie doing well on reclaim for Team 2. Team 1 overall does not do well on reclaim. I'm pretty sure a lot of the players died before they even got to that stage of the game. But Team 1, or as I should say, Lieutenant General Fluffy, he is trying his heart out. He is over here. He's reached Tech 2 land. He is going to continue to pump out these pillars, the double-barreled bringers of freedom and democracy, as they march through the lands. Of course, not using any fancy walking technology or anything that's too complicated, staying with the tried and true tracks. They have been proven time and time again to be effective in difficult terrain, and that is exactly what these tanks are designed to do. Go through the hardest territories for a cheap price and attain victory. Lieutenant General Fluffy, his comm, interestingly enough, has gun and nano regen, but he's only managed to really get 1 rank of veterancy. He's invested a lot into this comm being a real Rambo comm, and he hasn't gotten much out of it. That is one criticism I'd like to make. I think he could use his comm a little bit more aggressively, especially with some E-storage. He could definitely come up, start overcharging Ilshevas, but of course, he is a smart man since he chose UEF at the beginning of this game. He has seen 2 of his allies die to snipes out from Mythologist. Probably does not want to suffer the same fate as the rest of this game stands in the balance, or the balance of this game is kind of in his hands. If he dies, the game is effectively over, as I'm pretty sure the little guy is just straight up AFK. Large lines of power now being produced by Lieutenant General Fluffy, as Volthus are going to almost kill off a T2 HQ, but their inferior targeting systems are going to cause them to stop even trying to kill off the T2 HQ and just shoot at random stuff. This is just a travesty. This is an example of how Seraphim decision making is just lower and horrible in comparison to the mighty UEF decision makers of the day. Strikers now pushing forward. Going to be killing off some Ilshevas. Ilsheva's going to take a few with them, a few valiant strikers, but overall, looks like this area is going to have to be abdicated by Banana Smoothie, who is having a lot of struggles with dealing with the presence of Lieutenant General Fluffy over on this eastern flank. Seems Lieutenant General Fluffy has managed to get up enough air factories to produce enough interceptors to keep himself in the game, but T3 Air is but a few minutes away, I would guess. Fool or Mythologist could go for T3 Air pretty soon and cause a lot of trouble. Speed and range on the way for Mythologist, playing a stunning game. And gonna be pushing forward here soon, I would assume, try and take over this area. And the map is kind of being split exactly on the 50% on the line. Overall economies, it does seem that there's a bit of an advantage for Team 2 as they still have 3 players versus the technical 1 player out for Team 1. We're 15 minutes in. There's been a lot of movement and action in this game. I think it's going to die down a little bit for a little while right now, as Lieutenant General Fluffy bides his time and decides to build up a larger, stronger force instead of continuing to throw units haphazardly into the fray. He's realized that it's no longer mass effective to keep trying to get these run-bys, and has decided to opt more for a strategy of building up a strong force to fight with. Banana Smoothie has speed and range on the comm, which will help him out a little bit in fighting off all of this, but of course, strikers and pillars quite strong in their own regards and can definitely kill off a comm if given the opportunity. A run-by over here in the center is going to kill off the T2 HQ, and that might be big news for Lieutenant General Fluffy. He needs to get one of these factories upgrading to T2 HQ, and he already has one. The foresight of this man. He realizes that his T2 HQ is just a little bit too exposed. Starts the T2 HQ upgrade on another factory further back, more secure, and is going to have this T2 production back online in just a little bit. It won't take too long. It's 76% and rising, and he has so many pillars now on the field. Banana Smoothie under a lot of threat, a ton of pillars now showing up on top of him. Strikers now coming in, a Shift G order to stop the Seraphim comm from moving. You have to make sure you don't let these slippery things get away. They may not be super effective, but they can definitely worm their way out of a lot of situations. Banana Smoothie down to sub 2,000 HP, but he gets a rank of veterancy, the coward, deciding to get more health than he deserves as he falls back into his point defense line. The only way a Seraphim can survive is by turtling. And over here, Mythologist just going to be continuing to fight off an army. Lieutenant General Fluffy effectively fighting off multiple comms with just army. He doesn't have his own comm involved, effectively setting these comms back, making all of these upgrades not really worth it, because without them they would have died, sure, but it's not getting very much done. A few units of T2 and T1 variety out from Lieutenant General Fluffy, going to be pushing down in towards the base of Mythologist. Mythologist does need to react and deal with that very soon. Natha's now out on the field for Mythologist, probably going to use those to clean this up. Air superiority does seem to be in the hands of Team 2 for now. All three players on Team 2 putting a lot into air, but Lieutenant General Fluffy kind of just running the ground game. He is able to field more units pretty much everywhere than his opponents are. So he's getting a lot out of this T2 land phase. But the question is, when do you go T3? It feels like we're getting to the point where his T2 units aren't being as effective as he may like, and we may see a transition into T3 tech very soon as we get close to cresting the 20-minute mark. Let's go ahead and look at overall reclaim. 12,000 for both Lieutenant General and Banana Smoothie, and everybody else at 6.4 or below. Overall mass incomes, Lieutenant General Fluffy leading the pack at 89, but overall Team 2 slightly ahead, all players sitting somewhere in the 40s. But the economy of Lieutenant General Fluffy is still growing, and I'm sure he's getting more T2 mexes almost everywhere. And he needs to continue that expansion. He needs to reclaim the area that was formerly held by his teammates. We have T2 gunships over here trying to kill off the strikers, but of course these T2 gunships going to take a little while, as they are Cybran variety, not quite as good. Much better than the Volthus we saw earlier with their AoE attacks. The Renegades are much better at dealing with a variety of enemies than the Volthu with its single target. And that's going to clean up that little raiding party out from Lieutenant General Fluffy. And as the game calms down for a second, I'm going to take a drink from my non-disclosed drink, because sponsor me, whoever you are that I'm drinking from. As we reach a little bit of a lull here, let's go ahead and just do a bit of a channel ad. So I have a policy on my channel that I think everybody can get behind. It's the fuck you pay me policy. If you want special benefits, special perks, you want to be shouted out at the end of every single cast, and sometimes the beginning if I fuck it up the last time, you can always go ahead and check out my Patreon or my channel membership. The channel membership, I don't think I'm going to be doing the individual shoutouts, and I'm about to rechange how I do shoutouts. It might just be something written at the end, because remembering the names is hard and I'm too lazy to do everything in post. Oh, there's some Nathas over here killing off everything. But both channel memberships, there's a join button now. After you subscribe, there's a little join button on my channel. You can join. There's 2 tiers. You can support the channel and give me some money, and most of all, fuck you, pay me, get me rich. All right, thank you, goodbye. Now that I'm back to caster Willow, let's go ahead and see. There's some interceptors getting shot down by Flak. The Seraphim having to use static defense to deal with everything this game, it does seem. Point defense and flak and everything. Not able to just live and thrive on the strength of their units. They must use structures. That's how weak these factions are. The Cybran doing alright. The Renegades, they're okay. They're not quite as bad as a state as the Seraphim are in. I wonder how many people are going to be like, I unsubscribed because I was watching this Willow cast, and all he did for the first 20 minutes of the cast was just shit on the Seraphim and prop up the UEF. Who the hell even wants to watch something like that? It's so not entertaining. But, and if you're that person, please unsubscribe. But do go down in the comments and type all that out. I do like to see that. It makes me smile inside when people are upset because my channel. And yet again, tying back into that ad, just think about it for a little bit. We now have strikers over our pillars amassing in large numbers. I would like to see a bit more of a mix, maybe throw in some parashields and flak. We do have flak coming out now, but I don't believe Lieutenant General Fluffy is going for any kind of parashield mix. I would like to see it, but I know he's probably pretty heavily taxed on the APM. Of course, fighting 3 players is hard. no matter what, but he is doing it he's taking it in stride and performing quite well against the odds, and I think a lot of that is due to him selecting UEF as a race. Or a faction. It's not really a race, like it's 3 human factions in the Seraphim, which are a race. But, you know, it's all a rat race anyways. We're all rushing to see who can nuke each other first. These things look so cool. Just watch that firepower flame out of those cannons. Massive tank invasion over here. Somebody call the Germans, because it's a blitzkrieg! Oh man, so many UEF pillars plowing into the front lines, going to be dealing a lot of damage. Although this is a pretty heavily defended area, we can see a lot of... Wow, it's just super cinematic. Such a very cinematic situation right now, as massive groups of units fight each other. And by massive groups of units, I mean massive groups of UEF units and some point defense and a few Seraphim units. Whew. Alright, take a second to breathe, just soak it up, have a good time. T2 finishing up for the UEF commander of Lieutenant General Fluffy. Some units over on this western side posing a threat towards Lieutenant General Fluffy, but not quite doing enough. There is some Zooies, they may get into the back line. There's also some Volthu gunships out from Mythologist. Going to be killing off a few mexes, but all of these are T1 mexes. They're not killing off anything vital like all of the T2 mexes back in the main base of Lieutenant General Fluffy. But Mythologist catching up economically right now. I think that Lieutenant General Fluffy needs to start making inroads somewhere, and it does seem that he agrees as he has his units push forward in mass on the Seraphim position over here. Gun splash on the way for Banana Smoothie, but might be a little bit too little and a little bit too late as the UEF continue to roll forward. It's a blitzkrieg, and it's happening right now. All these units having a little bit of trouble with pathfinding in their orders, but I'm gonna sort it out here soon. With so many units on the field, you can expect any faction to struggle with it, but the UEF would struggle a little bit less, especially than the Aeon with their pathfinding issues. The Seraphim, I will admit, have decent pathfinding. You don't have as many issues. But the blitzkrieg continues, and let's go ahead and go back to a normal fucking camera. As we can see, Banana Smoothie under a lot of threat right now. Seems as though he had to cancel his splash upgrade, which is unfortunate. He did have a decent amount of progress on that, and he is just going to be able to see his base get obliterated and disintegrated right in front of his eyes. The pillars making it into the base. There's an Otham here, but it's one Otham. That's not going to be enough. Seems Ilshivas are going to be produced instead. Probably a more cost-effective way to deal with this army. But overall, the base of Banana Smoothie is capitulating. He's going to lose all of his territory, as now all of the mass extractor is going to be going down, and Lieutenant General Fluffy making giant inroads into the bases of Team 2. His UEF units causing massive damage now down onto specifically Banana Smoothie. But after this, he can continue to move forward and threaten, possibly even fool, or maybe take his forces more westwardly and deal with Mythologist. The T3 HQ going down momentarily. These pillars continuing to ravage the lands of the Seraphim, as they damn right well should. And as the attack peters out a little bit, it seems as though Banana Smoothie is going to be left on 31 mass a second, which just isn't nearly enough, and maybe even less as more T2 mexes may go down in the near future. He's trying to expand over here to the east where Saurian AI, that's a name we haven't said very much, if at all, this cast, was spawned. And it seems as though there might be some economic damage even dealt into the likes of the Fool, as his power gen does go down, but not hyper significant. There's a bunch of Cerberus now being thrown up, which is widely regarded as the worst point defense. Even the Seraphim have a little bit more going for them than that. But the pillars gonna come in here, they're gonna die. But Banana Smoothie just left in a really rough position. And now over here on the eastern side where Banana Smoothie was expanding, there's another UEF army. These armies that you kill one and another shall appear almost at the same time, and he's even doing it on multiple flanks. And he's now cleaning up Banana Smoothie's kind of territory, and he's going to be able to re-expand into this territory himself. He held it for a short while. He even already has engineers out here. Would be surprised to see them not already on an order to grab this all up. As far as reclaim goes, it does seem as though Lieutenant General Fluffy leading the pack at 32,000, Banana Smoothie at 31,000, Banana Smoothie taking the brunt of the attacks from Lieutenant General Fluffy after Saurian AI died. And it definitely shows as he's been able to reclaim quite effectively, but right now what he's mostly reclaiming is his own base as he's trying to rebuild, but it does seem that he's going to have some struggles with that. Lieutenant General Fluffy continuing to push forward has managed to oust all of the units and territory over here except for a singular mass extractor built by the Fool. And he's going to be able to retake this area pretty soon, and it looks like he'll have enough units to reinforce to stop his opponents from retaking this area themselves. On the western side, we haven't talked about it much, but Mythologist has built up a fire base. He has some T2 artillery that are just kind of firing into the general direction of Lieutenant General Fluffy's base with their extremely low accuracy. These pillars getting into the backline again. Seems as though a T3 Pigeon may go down, and if that happens, that is going to be brutal. Looks like the pillars have been targeted onto the T3 Pigeon. I would really be very curious to see if this works. It looks like there was a repair order given, but it doesn't look like it's going to be too majorly successful as the power generator goes down, taking up the other one that was building. And now the power situation for the Fool, I'm sure, is going to be, well, since he's not really producing very much, he's not going to have too much issue on that front. There's a Yathoda now on the way for Mythologist. Mythologist, as I said, been a little bit quiet since that early play with Thurnis Haley, but he's up to T3 land, and he is getting himself a Yathoda online as soon as he possibly can. He's putting a lot of effort into building that. We don't see any kind of experimentals coming out from Lieutenant General Fluffy, although T3 land on the way for him. And pillars over here building up. A lot of this area now being rebuilt up by Lieutenant General Fluffy. He's trying to take over more and more of the map. He's on a strong economy. The Fool is the only player who has more economy than Lieutenant General Fluffy right now, and he's spending most of that on building Cerberus. Zooey's over here trying to deal some form of damage over onto Lieutenant General Fluffy. He needs to get this moving, but of course he is 1v3. The APM is going to be a little bit taxed. These units out from Lieutenant General Fluffy getting into the back line. He has himself a few more mexes that he's going to be able to kill off out from the Fool. The Fool still building Cerberus. He just has so many Cerberus. Really turtling up over here. 24 Cerberus and more always being queued up, it seems. And over here we have a bunch of pillars now out for Lieutenant General Fluffy, moving over towards where that Yathoda is being built. And that could be dangerous. Banana Smoothie yet again going to lose everything he had just built up. Going to lose more T2 mexes yet again. He's been the man with the plan, and his plan involves losing T2 mexes repeatedly to the superior UEF tech on the field. Lieutenant General Fluffy continues to push forward with those units and continues to expand over here to the east. On the western side, he's still having a bit of a struggle dealing with this fire base that's been built up by Mythologist. Mythologist now going to lose a decent amount of economy, I would guess, because doesn't really have much to deal with this. He is now starting to build T2 PD. It seems lines of T2 PD is the only answer that Team 2 has to Lieutenant General Fluffy. Banana Smoothie yelling extremities towards his ally Fool, and he is going to just end up dying, or maybe it was towards Mythologist, but he does control K, and the writing was on the wall for that one. He was too angry to stay in this game, I'm pretty sure. Power generators being deleted over here for Mythologist, but the question is it an issue? Because there's multiple T3 P-gens now built up by Fool. Is he going to be able to give Overflow enough power to support Mythologist? Mythologist also going to lose even more mass extractors, and overall that's going to bring the total mass value for the game pretty much to parity. Lieutenant General Fluffy sitting as about as much mass as his two opponents combined, and overall seemingly doing better on the reclaim game, as he has managed to get a huge lead, and he's still definitely reclaiming. We can see patrol orders given to engineers almost everywhere, and just constantly moving forward with those engineer patrol routes. He needs to keep up the steam though. The Yathoda is getting close to finishing up to 70% now, and we do have, of course, some whalers coming out, and that's something to be worrying about. Whalers quite good at dealing with a lot of T1, T2 units. I mean, but there's enough flak here that I'm worried the whalers just won't get anything done. Yeah, the whalers, their health is going to be going down faster than the, well, the stock market whenever you buy. You ever notice that whenever you buy stocks or cryptocurrency that it always crashes, and whenever some dude invests like 8 million into something, it stays stable or gains? You have to have a lot of money to make the stock market or the cryptocurrency market to do anything you want. By the way, multiple engineers going to be going down, and multiple structures going to be going down now as Lieutenant General Fluffy pushes into the base. It seems that Mythologist is throwing everything right now into getting this Yathoda completed. If he can kill enough build power, right now is where you shift G on all of the engineers and kill off the build power. Kill off the build power, but no, the Yathoda completes. It had already taken some damage. So the Yathoda is going to complete, and it's going to be able to clean up all of this, but how much economic damage can be done by these pillars before the Yathoda can kill them off? It's looking almost complete. Oh, the T3 HQ is going to survive. A T2 Mex is going to survive, and the forward expanded stuff is going to survive. But that leaves the Mythologist on a woefully low economy of 52, where everybody else is over 100 right now. And Mythologist has a chicken. We also have T3 land finished up for Lieutenant General Fluffy, and he has a lot of assistance on building Percivals right now. I'd like to see some more factories, and yep, he agrees with me. Going to get more factories up to T3. Once they are T3, he's going to be able to produce a lot of Percivals. Right now, I think his only worry that he has to have in his mind is this T3 air. Strat bombers, really good for sniping, and if the Fool can manage to get up enough to get enough together at any given time, it could be very dangerous for Lieutenant General Fluffy. He's going to be going for attack missile battery, which I don't even know what that could possibly hit. Might be going for this firebase. Kill it off with attack missiles instead of having to devote an army to that. Lieutenant General Fluffy expanding right outside the base of the Fool. He's taking over Banana Smoothie's base, coming up in here like, ah, nah, that's mine. As the Yathoda marches in, Percival's showing up to try and defend against this. He's going to need more Percivals than those two. He has more showing up from every flank. He also has a lot of T2 units that can come in here and start dealing damage, but does need to be wary. The Yathoda quite well at killing off large armies, and even if he kills this off, he needs to get away pretty quick, as it's going to be a lot of course, death coming from that plasma ball. A ton of units now pouring in from the south towards that Yathoda. Percival's adding their damage to the mix, as a ton of units come in to fight this Yathoda. I don't know if it's enough though. All of the Percivals have now died. Another one's showing up behind the Yathoda that's running away. Yathoda gonna step on a couple of tanks, kill them off. Are there enough pillars here to kill the Yathoda? Stay tuned to find out. Yeah, I think there might be. Looks like the Yathoda's probably going to die here. And that's going to be the experimental out of the way. The only great thing that's coming from this is the whalers now have free reign. There's not nearly enough skyboxers still sitting around to deal with this. Yathoda, no, it might vet up. No, it doesn't vet up. The mass pillar strat kills it off. There's still a skyboxer in the area. He needs more than that. He's also bringing up his interceptors. There doesn't seem to be enough ASF to really deal with this. I'd like to see a focus on getting some higher tech air or into just massive amounts of SAMs. You need to start worrying about snipes. Your opponent's going to go for snipes if you're Lieutenant General Fluffy. And if you're on Team 2, you really probably want to get something to deal with the ground. Because, sure, you killed off all of his ground forces, but you sacrificed a Yathoda. And he now has, and in that time where you were using that Yathoda to kill off all of his ground forces, he has way more T3 factories now. I'm sure he's mass stalling, but not by a huge margin. So he's going to be producing those quite effectively. And now there's a whole bunch of reclaim on his doorstep, and he's shown that he is more than capable of reclaiming almost constantly. At almost 70,000 reclaim right now, going to be doing a great job of it. The little guy is still here, by the way, in case anybody was curious. Pretty sure all of his units that he transferred over have died at this point, but he's here. He's just chilling. Lieutenant General Fluffy scouting, getting that all-important intel on his opponent. And it seems that Percivals are over here on the western flank. I'd like to see them just start pushing forward instead of standing within artillery range. Kill off all of this. Force Mythologist back to his side of the map. And as we're in a bit of a lull, I'm going to speed it up for now. Neither team really doing much. Percival's pushing out on the western side. I think this might be enough Percivals to just kind of kill off all of this. As long as he is careful about not letting them not getting in range of the T1 PD. Oh, but he's going to be walking into the range of a bunch of T2 PD down here to the south. He has more Percival showing up. 3 died, and now there's 6 here. So literally Hydra. Cut me down, and 2 more will appear. And eventually, if this continues to happen, he will be throwing enough Percivals at the problem. Throwing Percivals at the problem generally works in a lot of situations. What's going on down here? We have another Yathoda starting up, and it seems Cybern was gifted over to Mythologist, and he's going to start building up himself some hives, unless those are hives queued up by Fool. These 6 Percivals, managing to clear out that first fire base, having a bit of struggles with the second one as Zooey's kind of messing up the targeting. Percival outranges the Autumn, if I recall correctly, so this shouldn't be an issue. He should be able to just run away from the Autumns. The Autumn's going to fall back to the safety of their shield. And I'm going to take another drink. Over on the eastern side, more Percival is going to be showing up for Lieutenant General Fluffy. Going to be able to use those to put some pressure onto the Fool. But the Fool might be a little bit Percival proof. You're going to need a lot of Percivals to get through the 58 Cerberus that are kind of all concentrated within each other's range. Going to be a bit difficult. He also has a Soothsayer, so that's really helping him with knowledge. Knowledge! Like that dude with the Lamborghini. But Mythologist pushing forward with the comm is a bit suspect. He has nano repair, he has T3, he has gun, but putting his comm right here feels a bit suspect to me. especially when you know your opponent has so many T3 units. There's a Strat Bomber now out for Fool. Gonna be going for a T1 Engineer of all things, but might be focusing on killing off mass extractors here soon. And let's go ahead and stop tracking that. We'll just look at it here in a second. It does seem to be going for these T1 mass extractors. Over here on the western side, the Ythota is not nearly complete, and this is a lot of Percivals. That's the comm of... Oh no, Mythologist just dies. Yeah, you don't survive 21 Percivals with the comm. If Lieutenant General Fluffy notices this, he just kills Mythologist. You right-click on Mythologist and let the Percivals do their job. We have Strat Bombers coming in to try and deal with the Percivals, but look how quickly the health on Mythologist is just evaporating. The Percival's currently out of range, but there's more than enough here to just kind of deal with anything they run into. Percival's gonna be running out of targets to shoot, and Mythologist's gonna be running out of areas to run away to. A ton of interceptors showing up for Lieutenant General Fluffy. Might be able to get off a kill onto the Strat Bomber, or at the very least chase it away long enough for him to kill off the Mythologist. More PD gonna be thrown up, but I don't think T2 PD are gonna kill off this many Percivals that quickly. As more and more Percivals constantly pour out, this Strat Bomber over here is sitting on one vet with 6 kills, killing off a lot of mass extractors for Lieutenant General Fluffy. And I know I wasn't watching it, but Mythologist, as I said, it was kind of inevitable. He did die to the Percivals. All of this is going to die, and it's going to be the Fool versus Lieutenant General Fluffy. Lieutenant General Fluffy needs to start dealing with these Strat Bombers ASAP. He needs SAMs. Like, near his comm. He needs SAMs, he needs more shields. Because here soon it's going to get to the point where there's enough Strat Bombers for a snipe. But Lieutenant General Fluffy taking a he's basically been 1v4. He killed off Saurian AI. His teammates all died around him or gave him their base. And he's now killed off 2 Seraphim players and a Cybern player, and there's only 1 Cybern left. The Cerberus, as I said, it might be a little bit Cerberus proof, or a little bit Percival proof. The Percivals, if he keeps sending waves, they'll slowly kill off Cerberus turrets, and that might be what he's going for here, but my word, is that a lot of Cerberus. The Percivals continue to march forward. Cerberus continue to fire their mini lasers into the Percivals. Man, Percival's dying a lot faster than I thought they would. And that's going to be all of the Percivals over here dead. It's unfortunate for Lieutenant General. I think he should have maybe, I don't know, kept them all together. The Strat Bombers need to start being a worry for him. He needs to start worrying about it. He's starting to go for T3 air, but is it too late? Like, he's already built up so many Strat Bombers. Looks like there might be a snipe attempt. Yeah, looks like we might be seeing a snipe attempt here soon. Nope, we're not. The game is kind of on these Strat Bombers anyways. It's either the Strat Bombers get a snipe off in time, or he dies to mass Percival. It's kind of what it feels like as Lieutenant General Fluffy continues to eco up and get up. He's up to 214 mass a second. He's double the economy. If he can get his air to T3 and build an air grid of if he can build more than 1 air factory and give it assistance, hell, he builds 4 or 5 T3 air factories and he wins air. Or he could go for a nuke. Pretty sure there's no anti-nuke over here. I think a nuke and SAMs would be what I would go for in my personal opinion. Lieutenant General Fluffy might be having issues with mass stalling. Yeah, seems he's mass stalling quite a bit. What upgrade is he even getting? Looks like T3 on the comm. He needs to pause some of these factories. He can't be going for all of this at once. He knows his opponent won't have land on him, so like you don't really need Percivals unless you're going to use them to kill him. Okay. Half of the strat bombers got stuck. Alright, the strat bomber seemingly going for a snipe. The game's gotten really quiet all of a sudden, which I don't quite understand, but, you know, we don't reach cinematic music. The strat bomber's going to be coming in for a snipe onto the comm of Lieutenant General Fluffy. Oh, this might be the end. There's 3 T2 shields, which is not nothing. Strat bombers come in. They're going to kill off one of the shields, and all the shielding went down. Lieutenant General Fluffy needs to probably micro this perfectly, and it doesn't even seem like there's a way for him to stop this, though. He's gonna get a pretty good turn off, but is it enough? Yeah, it's not. And with that, we end the game. With that, the game is over. Thank you all for watching. You've been beautiful. Thank you to my patrons, Timothy Calderwood, Sergeant Syphilis, Icy Nightmare. I think I only really have to say is Timothy Calderwood and Icy Nightmare. They're the only ones who pay enough. And as the 2 UEF comms die so valiantly on this map to the Cybran, of course wasn't the Seraphim. As long as it's not the Seraphim, everything is according to script. But thank you all for watching. You've been beautiful. Hell of a game played by everybody here. I'll see you in the next one. Alright. Fuck you. Bye.